hip hop's birthday the other day, by the way. Happy 51st to hip hop, a grounding and formative art form that continues to motivate and lead me through.
Wow. Half a century or more.
Yeah.
Plus one.
Yeah. Half a century plus one. Guys, welcome to Save the Date. I'm one of your hosts, Heath.
I'm your other host, Jamie O. And today,
we're talking about the joy of courtship, bringing romance back, why intentional effort is still important in dating.
Brother.
Before we get started,
housekeeping.
Housekeeping. At Save the Date Now, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok for clips and community and clips. And with that said,
wait a minute, guys, if you come by the channel, please like and subscribe.
Thank you.
We want to build with y'all. You know what I mean? A lot of times we come up with these topics and ideas on our own, just, kind of in our own echo chamber of where we think dating is. But we would love to hear from y'all. More comments. Yeah. Some feedback, some crowdsource, some kind of stuff that y'all want to hear. Can y'all send us some letters to read? Something.
Said, I met him
I want to jump it off.
Essence Fest.
Yeah, you don't want to meet nobody down there.
Yeah, about to say. Anyway, that's a story for another time.
Another time.
I say that because Jay got experience. I don't.
Ooh, handsy down there, boy.
All right. So I know you have a hot take about courtship and the joy of courtship. Why don't we start with your hot take? Let's do something different instead of leading with the 1 to 2. Let's start with what you see as the hot take.
Okay. I feel like I'm still kind of developing the hot take, but essentially it's kind of based around the concept or the idea that historically courtship was not a one-person process.
Say more.
I know that we've been trying to, over the last, 30, 40 years, get out of this idea of a patriarchal society. But in history, in the best of its traditions, fathers kind of buffered that process of courtship.
Even if they were just
or
a man, go through.
Or some kind of man in the family, buffered or had something to do with that process of courtship. And it wasn't just about dowries being paid and things like that. It was somebody eyeing the process of how this person is trying to be romantic with this woman and them showing that kind of effort that we're talking about. And obviously in the past, romance wasn't the same. It wasn't flowers and candy. It may have been a horseback ride. It may have been a walk in the valley, any of that. But you know what I'm saying? It was no 5-star taverns. No
Paul told me that he's gonna give me all the land from here. That's what I let it post is. And I was wondering, sure, miss, you sure is pretty.
But the hot take, if we're talking about
bringing back the joys. I just watched Pale Rider last week, so Paul Barrett's in my mind.
Nah,
so, preacher, where you going, preacher?
But, if we're talking about bringing back the joys of it, I think that should be part of the process. Like, obviously, we're not in that day and age where that is part of the process that we know. Definitely, and I would say in Western society. But, if it all goes back to something, then I think the something historically it tracks back to some kind of man figure or male figure being a part of the courtship process, and it not just being about romance or things that make a woman smile or a woman happy. It was to actually really show and prove that this family and this family were intent and intentional about legacy, survival, being able to expand in territory and things like that. So yeah, that the process of courtship, I think, would look very different if we brought it back and had the same kind of joy.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And I would say you mentioned the woman side, but I would even think the son side was, the courtship was monitored and overseen. Obviously, it was different for the woman than it was for the young man, but the family was centered. And it brings into light this concept of community-centered romance, that your romance and your romantic decisions and selections should not occur in a vacuum. And I'm talking about more than just putting your ideas out about a person in a group chat and having people weigh in on it, which is fine. That's definitely tier 1. But the tier, I believe, historically, as you're saying, many people were playing at or pursuing or doing, was very much intimately involved, intentionally involved courtship, where people would really suss out who this person was. Most times you're getting married to someone in the community, so they already knew who you were, but they wanted to stress test certain aspects of who you were, what your parents presented, what they knew about them. If they felt there was some family drama or issues, that got stress tested. That was then presented back to the family to see what they could tolerate, what they were boundaries.
Right.
Some things could be acceptable, some other things. Grab my shotgun and head down there and hey,
Right.
Whatever happens, happens. That's
Right
on
these
y'all.
wrongs.
Yeah,
You gotta right these
exactly.
wrongs out here.
And you bring up a good point, because obviously in this day and age, most people are living hundreds of miles away from home. They're traveling. They grew up in a suburban, rural environment, even city environment. They may travel from St. Louis to New York, from New York to Madison, Wisconsin. People are now traveling and have the ability to travel, and they're having different lives separated from the communities that in which they were raised, but also sometimes they're having a hard time forming good, healthy communities where they're at. But the importance of forming those communities, forging those communities, and feeding those communities is going to be essential to developing a more historical approach to courtship, if that's what you want. Because the joy ultimately is not just in the this person lavishes me with praise or gifts or items or their presence or their body.
Mm-hmm.
It's ultimately about the understanding and the connection, and most importantly, the alignment of that person with you, with your goals,
Those values.
their values, with their values, and you're bringing all of it together. And there's your joy when you figure, wow, this was the missing piece. We always hear that old phrase, trying to put a square peg
In a
into
round hole.
in a round hole. But when you got the circle, the round peg that goes into the round hole, nothing beats that. And that's where the joy of courtship really emerges. That's where it really happens. And I agree with you. It needs to be community centered. It's not that much anymore, because so many of us have really adopted kind of a Western approach to individualistic thinking and individualistic movements. I go to school on my own. I do this on my own. If you want to borrow money from me, if you want to borrow time from me, or you can't give time, if you want my presence, then there's a certain protocol you have to go to, because I think, therefore I am. They call this, all about Descartes and his idea of think, therefore I am, qualifying human existence. And in the African traditions, and you see this in some African philosophy books and reference material, I am, we are, therefore I am.
Mm-hmm.
I am, you know what I mean? So
it's all about the community.
Yeah, from the community you emerge.
Mm-hmm.
The community forms as the primordial ooze in which life and humanity is birthed.
Yeah.
And that is totally different than what we currently have in our modern Western society around dating. It's very materialistic. Not materialistic as far as transactions and luxury goods. Materialistic in the sense of very bulleted point items that people want to get out of people if they want to move forward with that person.
And very surface too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's your body. It's this financial transaction. Can you fit into this social circle? What is your status? What is your pedigree? And if you could check these boxes, then we could vibe. If you can't check those boxes.
Or it hinges on happiness. How do you often do you make me feel good when I'm around you?
And that definitely should be considered. But when it becomes the focal point at all times in every interaction, there's a challenge there, because we know great relationships are going to have obstacles and issues, and problems aren't a bad thing. Problems are an indication, number one, that you're alive. Number two, that you have the ability to create a solution that can generate outcomes that are positive, not just for you, but for other people. When problems become too much, when problems become insurmountable, when problems become caustic and toxic, that's where problems become problematic. But in general, you're going to have problems with the person you're with, and there's nothing wrong with that. And again, it goes back to your point about the old school community model. When it came to courtship, that would be factored in.
Right. Because grandma going to tell you, baby, listen,
I've known that family for a while.
You're not just going to stop seeing that young man. That young man comes from a good family.
Yeah.
I can see that he loves you, and you ain't just going to divorce him like that. You ain't going to just walk away. You know what I mean?
And the same thing on the man. You going to be out here going to the brothels?
Yeah.
Tell him to stay right there when I get over there. Now, it's one thing you go to the brothels on the sneak, but you out here conducting yourself like a savage and a wayward individual. So, okay, this is going to keep going. You're going to keep doing this, then this is what we're going to do. And this is your own family talking.
Yeah, no doubt. Like it's part of your community. It's part of that upbringing. You don't just make family decisions on your own like that.
Yes,
because that's what it comes about. Your marriage is a family community. Like you said, you're bringing two communities, two families together. So yeah, the family should be a part of that. But to what we're saying now, because I'm like, I don't want to stay too far in the past.
Absolutely.
To keep it current. Like, how do you think? I mean, I guess the easy part is if that's not part of the process and it is just individualistic. What are some joys of courting? Because I know you've talked about this in the past before, how much you love to just be able to lavish.
Ronnie Romance over here.
Yeah, no doubt. So
The waltz.
So talk about some of these romantic tips and tricks.
Well, I think the first thing is letting somebody know that you're intentional about who they are and being with them. I think so much of what I've noticed in dating now, because I've been in a long-term relationship since dinosaurs walked the earth, people actually have not really expressed a desire to be with a person. Their constant nagging question in everybody's mind is, what are we? And when you try to get to what are we, people start throwing out all the cards. Well, we're a situationship. Well, we're boyfriend and girlfriend on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Fridays and Saturdays, we're single. And now there's all these permutations of relationships or connections, as people would like to call them. And it's difficult to really get to intentionality. What are we doing here? What is my body, my presence, my mind, my soul? What does my time mean to you? So I think the first step in being romantic in this day and era, and it wouldn't have been romantic 30, 40, 50 years ago because the dating standards were different. But now it's like, hey, I actually want to be with you. And here's how I view being with you. And here's how I'd like it to look like in the future. And I'm waiting to hear from you how you feel about me or how you feel about us and what you need from me to feel loved, appreciated, and to move forward. So if you're really going to court somebody, I mean, let's just take it from what I would describe as exclusive monogamy. Being intentional and straightforward is really a first step to being romantic. Crazy. It's hard for me to think about it, but it is. You're stating somebody that you want to be with them and that how you feel about them and that you want things to progress. And maybe they're not going to progress right to marriage. And then, your honeymoon in the Greek islands or in, Japan or something like that, that's for further down the line. But to let somebody know, I like you and I actually want to build with you. This is what this looks like for me. And I'm ready to be exclusive and grow with you. That to me is first step.
Okay. I mean, I think we got to ask we got to address the elephant in the room is who is courtship on? Who does that fall on?
Who initiates?
Who does that fall on? Because I mean, from what I know, it's at least in our Western traditions, it's been more of
the man.
Yeah. Obligation from the man.
Listen, I think coming from the man to the woman is great. If the woman wants to surface it, I think that's fine. Now, there are dating experts, people who are getting good anecdotal data, I would say client data that would say, don't do that. Or if you do it, there's a way you approach it so that you're not just coming off demanding or nagging. Now, that doesn't mean you are demanding or nagging, but that there's a perception that when women speak out and speak frankly and directly, it could be perceived as being demanding or nagging. So I would say reach out to those dating experts. There's plenty of them on Instagram who are giving quality advice about how women proceed with that. I saw the Coach Anwar guy talk about this, I think, of Decisions in another podcast about how he advises his clients to proceed a particular way when he is advising these women to show these men or to talk to these men about what their feelings are and what does it mean to be together. But if you're going to be direct and responsive, I think anyone could do that. But obviously a man to a woman in this day and age, I believe, does have big payoffs because it's one of the complaints that is happening in the dating scene that men seem to be indecisive or unprepared or not wanting to be exclusive, especially for men who are quote unquote in the top 10% or quote unquote high value men who have tons of options. And it's easy when you have options because you're always saying, well, what else is in it for me? Or what else do you bring to the table? And that obviously, as you know, brings to me, and then what my argument is, and I'll state right now, the problem with that is you never get to the value of a person because you're always raising the standard of the bar about what they need to do for them to be with you. And I don't think that's the way we're designed as human beings. I don't believe that's the way love was designed by God, for people to always be trying to catch up and jump through hoops. Okay, now we jump through a hoop. Now set the hoop on fire. Okay, now set the hoop up on top of the Empire State Building. I need you to jump through the hoops and then land right on top of this glass of water.
While there's 3 snipers on each side of the building,
exactly,
each side of the firing hoop firing at you,
exactly,
and not just rifles. We got them with full automatic rifles,
exactly.
And you got to dodge all these bullets and jump through this fire to this hoop. It'd
exactly.
be like that. That's what we're doing out here.
While reciting the Iliad in Greek. Don't just do English.
And the Odyssey. Do both of them.
Exactly. And what that does is just show somebody that they're really just a commodity. They're just here to be exchanged. And no one ultimately, people play that game because they feel they have to. They feel hampered, crushed by the system or crushed by the culture of dating, and they'll play it. But ultimately, if you're talking about creating a path to truly establishing a connection and making people feel valued, and as we say on this podcast, we always quote and talk about Dr. Donna Hicks' work, to foster dignity, you're going to have to go about it a different way. It just can't be jump, 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 box check, 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 box.
Yeah.
It can't be that.
Or it can be if you're gracious enough to give people time and be patient with that.
You've
what I
talked
was
about
saying,
this, yeah.
About in terms of meeting needs or checking boxes. In terms of courtship, like I think it's important to say that it's going to look different in every phase of you dating or along the path of your relationship. Like obviously the effort or romantic gestures you may show in the beginning when you're first talking or just getting to know somebody, they may look different than when you've been in a relationship for a couple of months or a couple of years. It may look different after marriage.
Yeah. Yes.
After you've learned the things that this person likes, after you've learned how to anticipate needs, the effort is going to look very different in every phase and different phases of along the timeline of your relationship. And I think, I don't know if you explicitly said this, but I do think courtship should go both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I know as a man who has received it, it does feel good. And like you said, it's not about lavishing gifts or tangible things.
I agree.
Sometimes it is a word of affirmation. Sometimes it is a, hey, I was just thinking about you. But the energy, the excitement, the exuberance you show is letting me know like you really were thinking about me.
Yeah.
And you really do or are excited about talking to me and hearing from me and things like that. So
yeah.
That kind of
just
effort,
the one calling
think,
you calling me. You're texting me.
Yeah.
It's not just one-way communication.
Somebody told me before, be careful of people who only respond and only request.
Say that again.
Be careful of people who only respond when you reach out to them and only request when they reach out to you. Yeah. Respond and request. And sometimes you'll feel like somebody is giving you a whole lot of back and forth, but they're really when you look at the conversation, it's like they might just be responding to you.
Yeah.
You're asking a lot of questions. You're showing interest and they're able to, maybe articulate some wordy or verbose response and you think, oh, they're opening up, they're talking to me, they're being vulnerable. And it's just, they just know how to turn a phrase and say a whole lot of words to just respond to you and make you think they're interested. But they're only affirming your interest in them by answering your question.
Yes. I like that. And that brings me to number 2 as far as what intentionality looks like. So number 1 is stating the message of wanting to connect and be together. Number 2 is having a plan to spend time together. Time is the greatest investment anyone can make in you because once you put time down, it never comes back. And anyone who has a plan to spend time with you and is intentional about your time and making sure your time is valued, to me is ultimately communicating to you, you matter to me. You matter to me. I care about you. And I want the best for you, and I want the best for us. And that would be the second thing I believe is a step towards recapturing or reimagining joy in a modern courtship scenario.
I'm just like, can I get to the phase of foot massages? That's the kind of courtship I'm trying to show right now, bro. I don't know, man. It's some nice, soft toes to just look at, freshly pedicured. I don't mind paying for it. See, this the effort you're talking about.
Yeah, no, seriously. This
I'll do it myself. Bro, let me tell you how I really learned how to do, clean my own teeth. I got a dentist kit.
Yeah.
Learn how to cut my own hair, do a mani-pedi. I learned how to do so much stuff on YouTube University during the pandemic.
That's right, because no one was going places. Yeah, nice.
I was like, listen, if I have somebody who's special enough that will let me give them a mani-pedi and a massage, a whole spa treatment. I got the massage table over here at the crib now. So listen, man, it could be a whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, though, those investments. And those kudos to those investments because your man conceded on the, I got something for that.
Yo, that
I got something for that. Oh, yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic
exactly.
gift, bro. Classic.
And I love what you said because that's showing somebody you want to show into them. And as you said, be careful of people who just respond and request. We're in a big cycle right now in dating culture with taker culture. Most people are takers because they're in a bad system. I'm in a bad game. And so people are taking, I'm taking. You know what I mean? You making a run on the bank, I got to make a run on the bank. Whereas there may be some other people who are just, takers themselves and then they just impacted the system. Whereas people who want to be givers and they want to invest with people and they want that time with that person, and you want to make sure that you're cultivating that with a person who can reciprocate. As we always say in this podcast, one hand washes the other. and
Both hands wash the face.
Shout out to Boardwalk Empire, where Steve Buscemi said that. It was on Michael K. Williams' character, God rest his soul, R.I.P. And this is where you're going to distinguish yourself from everybody else. This is where you could really pull away from all of the noise and gunk and filth and grime of the failures of past relationships. Nothing wrong with failure. Failure helps us move forward. But I get when people are in repeated cycles of failure to the point where they feel trapped and that they're not learning and they feel crushed by a particular system. There's obviously then a lot of baggage and trauma and drama. And we've mentioned this before. It leads to down the path to having mental health problems because you're always in a cycle of rejection and abandonment. And that just leads to other issues. So I love what you said. Massage table, petty. Hey, do you feel comfortable enough, safe enough for me to honor you and spend time with you and invest love, time, attention, and value with you? Because I think somebody who wants to live a detailed life with you ultimately shows love too. They say the devil's in the details, but I think it's honestly a heaven-sent gift. When someone's really being exacting about how they want to serve you according to what your needs are, to what they can do for you, how they can add value to your life, to me, that's just different, right? If you go to a hotel and I know you like the sun, so I get the room that faces the sun.
That concierge service.
Yeah. And then in the morning, I've set it up so that we can go down and see the sunrise, and we could do this and we could do that. And you're showing me that there are details about me that you have mastered, that you have become so intimate with, then you want to give it back to me so that I feel loved. And to me, that shows somebody, if I'm willing to be detailed with you, I'm showing how much I'm willing to love you, how much I do love you or care about you.
Yeah. Getting in the weeds.
Getting in the weeds. You got to get in the weeds.
Got to get your hands dirty.
Yeah. So I love what you just said there.